A mysterious virus suddenly broke out. Once people fell asleep, they would die in their dreams. Carl, a night shift security guard, became one of the few survivors because he had been staying awake. After work, Carl rushed to his friend's party, only to find everyone in the room lying on the ground. The music was deafening, but everyone remained unresponsive. Carl reached out to check their pulses and instantly felt a chill. Not only were they asleep, but their breathing had also stopped. Carl thought it was a case of mass poisoning. He and his friend carried the people onto a car and headed straight for the hospital. There were no cars on the road, and the streets were almost deserted. The entrance of the hospital was equally desolate. Inside, a few medical staff were extremely busy. Carl stopped a nurse, who only said that there was a severe shortage of manpower, so Carl could only queue up and wait. There was also a couple waiting in the hall. Overcome by drowsiness, they closed their eyes and fell asleep. A few minutes later, the couple foamed at the mouth and died on the spot. The nurse immediately realized that the disaster was spreading and rushed into the office to check on the head nurse. The head nurse had also passed away in her sleep. By then, the pattern was almost certain. Falling asleep meant death. To confirm further, Carl and the nurse drove around the streets looking for awake people. After driving around for a long time, they still couldn't see anyone. The nurse got out of the car and fired a gun into the air, but the city gave no response. Carl immediately called his girlfriend, Amy, wanting to remind her not to sleep under any circumstances, but her phone was turned off. Anxious, Carl rushed to Amy's house and broke in, but there was no one in the bedroom. Then he was knocked to the ground. It turned out that Amy thought a stranger had broken in and hid. After Carl explained the truth, Amy remembered that she had just taken sleeping pills and immediately rushed to the toilet to induce vomiting. Managing to spit the pills out, the four of them sat down to discuss. They had been awake for over 24 hours. If they couldn't find a way to solve this, lack of sleep would exhaust them first. So they decided to go back to the hospital to get stimulants. Back at the hospital, a cry for help came from a ward. They rushed in and found an old grandmother still alive. The grandmother had cancer, and the pain kept her from sleeping, which was how she had managed to hold on until then. After learning about the pattern of the virus, the grandmother made a decision. She didn't have much time left, and she was willing to be a test subject to help everyone find the truth. The grandmother took sleeping pills and was sent into an MRI scanner for monitoring. The data showed that everything was normal when she first fell asleep, and she did enter a dream state. About 3 minutes later, there was an abnormal peak in brain hormones, and subsequently her heart stopped. The conclusion was chilling. It wasn't sleep that was killing people, but the dream. Everyone fell into despair. Carl proposed a risky plan. Since something would go wrong in 3 minutes, they could sleep for only 2.5 minutes, and then be forcefully woken up by others. By seeing that dream with their own eyes, they might find clues to solve the problem. Carl lay on the hospital bed and forced himself to fall asleep. His consciousness soon sank into a dream.